Live from the Spill Studios located behind a liquor store off the I-35 interchange. It's time once again at a brand new time. Couple of cold ones with Corey and Carla.
Yes, we are starting a little bit early. You might hear a little bit of echo, too. I should go into another room and try to do this, but oh well. I'm in New York. I'm in the New York Hollywood.com offices right now, and I have a time difference between you and I.
That's right.
If you can feel it.
Can you feel it?
Can you feel it? Like the Jacksons, can you feel it? I'm walking over New York, like spreading glitter everywhere. Can you feel it? I mean, it's a big ass office that they got in here, and it's echoing like crazy. I hope people. Does it sound bad to you?
I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, okay, perfect then. All right, never mind then. I'm full of shit. But
no.
Yeah.
More importantly, though, for those of you who have always dreamed of having your questions read on a couple of cold ones. Because of the way scheduling is worked out, Corey has asked if we can record on Sunday afternoons instead of Sunday nights. So we're actually shifting things. So if you want to ask questions, you can email Corey then or follow me on Twitter and wait for my Twitter announcement on Sunday afternoons, which is twitter.com/massawyrm, MASSAWYRM. And we, of course, will answer questions at the end of this podcast. But now it's easier. You don't have to be a night owl to ask us questions.
That's true. It was my request that we do this a little bit earlier. For how long, I don't know. But right now, I mean, it's a Sunday, and people think I was in New York having a great time and whatnot. No, I went out last night to see a buddy, but other than that, I've been inside all weekend in the office trying to get ready for a lot of animation that we're starting to do, especially with some of the campaigns that we're having take over the page. Right now, I'm trying to get this Jonah Hex thing out before tomorrow, or by tomorrow morning. Yes, people, yes, we are doing an ad campaign for Jonah Hex. So for all of you who say that we sold out, get ready to repeat the same shit, because yes, we're still going to be taking money from these people. Hell yeah. People were complaining about, I don't know if you heard about this, and I addressed this in a call-in show yesterday, but people were actually saying like, man, we're all bummed out that you guys took money from MacGruber, because how can you give an unbiased opinion when you're taking money from somebody? Easy, you take the money and you say the movie is shitty or it's good. What's hard about that? I don't get it.
I can definitely see the ideal. It's there have been people complaining about this for a number of things, page takeovers, sponsored editorials, things like that. But what people need to understand is the site got paid for MacGruber. We didn't get paid any different from any other recording we do. We did not get any special bonus. That all went to the site, which has paid for years through thick and through thin and through lean years. So that's the biggest thing, is that we didn't accept we weren't paid. It's not like we all got $1,000 bonus and then had to review the film. No, we got paid for recording that, just as we would get paid for recording a podcast or recording a video.
And I tried to explain that too, but some people are just kind of like, well, the site is different now because the site's getting money. You're making all these changes, and it's like there's nothing. Bottom line is, you're not going to be able to satisfy some people. People are going to have it in their mind that when you take money for anything, even though it's money to help bring free entertainment to people, people have to pay a fucking thing to come here, and it's all for maintenance of the site. People are going to have this whole idea like, oh, once you take money for something, then you're a sellout, and I can't listen to you anymore.
There is a certain truth to that, but the question is it really wrong to sell out in that way? I mean, we don't charge for what we do, and it's not like people are actually putting roofs over our head or putting food on our table while we do this. This is something that we did for free for a lot of years, and then started making a small amount of money. Even to this day, we don't make a lot of money. As many people know, I work 4 different freelance jobs to make the living that I make, and even that is a respectable living, not what anyone would call a good living. So I can hardly really call it the kind of selling out that people are thinking. The kind of selling out that people are thinking is actually, it's like the great white whale of criticism. Like, everybody's heard a story that they know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy that got paid to give a good review. But in my 10 years of doing this, I've never met anybody, and I've never had anyone approach me.
Yeah, I have not either. And I know that certain people, like, I always hear about people getting certain gifts and whatnot from like especially in video games, people get certain things in video games, like certain gifts, certain games, and
or like what that big thing that just happened with the new Tony Hawk game that a lot of people have been howling about, where they had a bunch of critics come to a special hotel where they'd rented out a floor of the hotel where you could play the video game and you could play it there and test it out. But you were sitting in a room playing the video game, getting tips on how to play the video game from Tony Hawk. So you're playing the new Tony Hawk game, getting tips on how to play it from Tony Hawk. How can you write an unbiased opinion of that? And that's actually the true dirty secret of film criticism. It's why I don't write or openly discuss the works of my close friends that are in the industry, because they get you through access. That's the real way that they can get good reviews. It's by giving you exclusive interviews, by throwing you news, by having you out on set, by arranging special dinners and such where, hey, you get to sit down with this director or that actress. And that's how they really get the good reviews. They don't get positive reviews by buying advertising. Everyone buys advertising on Google.
Yeah, I mean, think of for years when newspapers have taken advertising. Now, there's certain stations that newspapers that people will argue have a bias because of who's supporting them, or maybe they just have an agenda because of who owns them, such as some people say Fox News has a very conservative Republican slant, which is the argument. I'm not saying it does, but that's what people think, and sometimes it appears to be that way. Now, what we do here, there's a difference between, I think, selling out and taking money to maintain an operation. Selling out, the full definition of selling out is when you have taken money to pretty much change your opinion or change your personality and to suit whoever is giving you the money. And that is not what's happening here. What they do is they give us this money, we use it for maintenance of the site and to pay certain bills and to pay certain employees, and then we don't change our opinion on that. We don't say that doesn't have any influence on how we feel about a film at all, and it will not. Ever. I can guarantee you that. And if you think that this is crazy for us to take money to maintain a website, let me tell you what happens with press junkets. They take you to a city, they feed you, they sit you in front of stars, they tailor those interviews so that you pretty much cannot really say anything about the movie except how to promote it. I mean, you're sitting up there repeating the name of the movie over and over again. You only get 5 minutes to ask questions. Usually those questions are steered towards asking inane questions that will help benefit the publicity, not exactly really hurt it. And if you start to say anything negative in front of the actors or actresses or directors or producers or anybody,
they shovel you out.
They get you out of there, and sometimes they don't even invite you back. So if you think what we're doing here is crazy, what they're doing in the industry has been done for years, and it's more slanted to like get a certain opinion or a certain amount of media out of it than what we have ever done before. So if you don't understand what we're doing, then you're very immature and you don't understand the nature of any kind of business, and nobody can argue with it. And so if you feel that way and you feel like you got to leave, fucking leave, because nobody's going to sit there and argue with this immaturity.
Okay. Calm down, Corey.
Yeah, you don't understand how much.
No, believe me, I do. I mean, you got to keep in mind, I've written for Ain't It Cool News for the last decade almost, and there hasn't been a day that I've written there that there hasn't been somebody accusing us of being on the take.
Yeah.
And the thing is if you knew how much money we make, you could tell just by coming to our houses that we are not on any
They'll come in and take it from you.
Jumping up and down because we get free DVDs. I mean, it's like, yes, we're getting something out of this. This is awesome. Because we're really not. I mean, we're doing it because we love it. And it's really one of those things that you just have to see. I completely disagree with how you defined selling out. I mean, that is one valid definition, but personally, I've always seen selling out as doing something you don't want to do for money, which includes any of the crappy jobs you've ever held, because you're not doing what you want to be doing. You're not doing what your soul is telling you should be doing. If you're making Subway sandwiches instead of writing music and making a living off doing that, then you're selling out. You're taking a paycheck to do something you don't want to do.
Well, when I say you change your personality to suit whoever's giving you the money, that means I did mean it that way. That you are actually changing your opinion to where maybe you didn't like something before. All of a sudden, you embrace it because you've gotten paid for it.
Right. What I'm saying is I take selling out to a further extreme. I feel that I sold myself out for years by working in retail when I should have, been starving trying to do what I wanted to do, which is right. And when I finally was able to take that plunge, I was never happier, even when I was struggling. Even when, my first year I made something like $1,500 total that year. It was totally worth it because I was doing what I loved. And now, because I've done that, I make my living entirely off of doing this. And I make sure never to have to write stuff that I don't want to write.
See, let me tell you, let me argue in your behalf and also disagree with you, because I think what you did was, and a lot of people do this, what you did was pay your dues. When you're trying to achieve a certain level of success or a certain goal, it's okay to take those jobs that you never want to do because that's out of necessity. Selling out at a certain point is when you've already achieved a certain level of recognition or success, and people know you for that, and all of a sudden you change your tune because you got a paycheck. And a lot of times you don't have to go back to that area of having to do something you don't want to do or say things you don't want to say. So I think everybody is okay to pay their dues. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I had my opinion changed. God, it's like 12 years ago that this happened. But Blink 182 was on Rockline one night, back when people actually listened to radio. This is how long ago it was. Blink 182 used to be one of those cool underground bands that was heavy punk.
Yeah, who's the drummer was the biggest name from the band, right? Travis, what's his name?
I forget.
Yeah, everybody knows Travis from Blink 182. But anyway.
So, but they switched over to pop punk and put out their first album that way. And I remember on Rockline listening to him doing all these interviews, and some guy called up and said, "Hey, I've been a fan of yours for several years." And he's like, "Oh," they're like, "Oh, thanks, that's awesome, man." He's like, "Yeah, my question is, why'd you guys sell out?" And they just kind of sat there for a second. They said, "Well, to be perfectly honest, because we wanted to make a living doing this. We changed our music to what more people wanted to listen to because we love you guys, but you weren't paying our bills. We were working day jobs while we were killing ourselves doing that. And frankly, we wanted to do what was making money. And we're sorry if you don't like what we're doing now. We really wish you did because we love our fans. But you know what? That's just the way it is. And that really changed my view on the notion of what selling out is, because you're really only selling out if you're doing what you don't want to be doing. And we didn't have any opinion different from what we would have on MacGruber. And no doubt if Jonah Hex is bad and we do this thing, we're going to savage it. And if it hurts our chances at getting these in the future, so be it, because we're not going to have a site if everybody thinks we're corrupt.
Exactly. And I was honest with people. I say, look, there is a caveat that comes with this. A lot of times these people say, well, we don't want to have any negative publicity while we're also sponsoring your site. And so we had a long talk about this, and I said, well, we're not going to change our opinion. So the only thing I can think of is like maybe we don't put our review on the front page, but we're not going to sit up here and say things that they want us to say or just skip a review, period. So chances are if you don't see a review right on the front page, it'll be somewhere, and that probably means that it's negative. But there's no way we're going to sit up there and have people dictate to us what we can say about a certain thing. I mean, that's what this business is based on. So it is bargaining. It is a little give and take, but I don't know. I don't think you should ever compromise what you do. Speaking of bands, man, see what they did. Travis Barker, I think is the name of the drummer, by the way. What Blink 182 did, I think is perfectly fine. They did that before they were making money. They decided to change gears and say, what's going to get us to making a living at this? And then they became popular for doing that, and most people know them for that. Now, somebody like Metallica, who had all the money in the world and all of a sudden started wearing makeup and playing slightly alternative rock instead of the hard metal that they were playing or the hard rock that they were playing, that to me was I don't want to condemn them for what they do because I don't know what their decisions for it, but it seemed kind of suspicious. And for somebody that really didn't need to do that except for like a record label decision or a studio decision or whatever. So,
well, I actually, you know what, being a longtime fan of Metallica, I can honestly say that I really liked when they switched over, when they did what a lot of people called selling out. They essentially what they did is they switched from doing 8 to 10-minute songs with like 20 different guitar riffs in it to doing 3 to 5-minute songs which only had 1 or 2, and I thought that was totally fine. They made their music shorter and more digestible for a mainstream audience, but they still rocked. It wasn't until the late 90s that they really kind of started sucking dick through a straw and just really kind of went off in a high alternative direction that I just didn't like.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, like when they were appearing in videos wearing glitter clothes and shit, and I was just like, what the fuck happened to them, man? That's the part I'm talking about.
Well, but that's standard for almost any band. I mean, the reinvention has been key to keeping artist longevity. It's the artists that don't change that get forgotten. Everyone's like, really? They're still around? But you look at Madonna, you look at Michael Jackson, you look at U2, you look at these bands that have been around forever, and every 2 to 3 years they radically change their identity. In fact, I was just talking to my wife about this the other day, about how I'm looking forward to when Lady Gaga, her record sales start dropping off and she completely changes what she's up to and goes to taking off the weird clothes and just being, the girl that's underneath there and doing something different. And I'm really curious to see what that different is, because what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the change was more genuine with somebody like Michael Jackson or Madonna, because they seem to be in control of what they were changing. With Metallica, it seemed like somebody sat down and made a decision, a business decision for them. It just didn't seem genuine. It didn't seem genuine at all. Anyway, we could go on. Man, I could see this kind of stuff.
But this is a podcast. We're supposed to go on.
I know, man. I didn't want to take up your time, because I'm saying I don't want to waste your time, because I can go on all day talking about something like this. I know what I could do. I don't want to drag you through the mud with all this kind of stuff.
Well, then let's get to the top 25. Brought to you by Spill.
Yes, people, we're going extra long this week. That's why we started earlier, so we could have all night to do a top 25. No, actually, you want to jump all over the place with this.
I want to jump all over the place, but see, it's odd. I had no intention of talking about the MacGruber and Jonah Hex thing earlier.
Wait a minute, did you say brought to you by Spill?
Yeah.
Oh, that fucking sellout top 25, man. Jesus Christ. Man. They're taking money from those fucking Spill Crew people.
That's right.
They're not what they used to be. Oh, but so you want to do
coming in at number 25.
Okay.
Number 25 is MacGruber, making a paltry $96,000. It got pulled out of almost 2,400 screens this weekend, leaving it only on 177, and it made $96,000. To give you an example of how bad that is, coming in at number 17 was Alice in Wonderland, which came out on Blu-ray.
Came out on Blu-ray already.
And made 3 times what MacGruber made. It's, not a good week to be a mullet.
Well, some people would argue with that too. But I look at this, and they're starting to do this with a few movies now. We talked about this with another film, and I can't remember what it was, where they just did a mass withdrawal of that movie from the theaters, and I can only think it's because, again, the business model that's happening of things going to DVD so quick. They're probably thinking like MacGruber, you know what, this is a movie that's going to do probably okay on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. And,
well, it'll do really well on DVD.
So let's just pull it from the theaters. It's already had its promotion in the theater. It's done okay. It's made some money here. It hasn't made – look, the movie's only made like about – $8 million, so it hasn't even made up like the $10 million budget that it had.
Well, $8 million domestically.
Yeah,
and arguably that's the $8.5 million, which it's almost made its budget back. It's almost made back what they paid Spill for the ad campaign. That $10 million.
We're rich people. MacGruber made us all rich whores.
You want to know how much it costs to get us to do an upper decker joke? That's the price tag right there. $10 million.
You don't even want to know the half of what went on trying to figure out how to put that. I won't even get into it.
I know half of it because I recorded half of it. Because I remember the part where it's like you sent me a script and I recorded all this stuff and said to you, "Oh, it's great, I love it." And then I watched the thing. It's like wow, I didn't actually say anything. I'm just kind of torturing
they,
the
they had a script approved, which I wasn't even crazy about. I get a call later saying, you know that thing that we just approved? Fuck it. We're not doing that. We're doing something else. I was just like, Jesus Christ. So people, hey, you know what? If we did sell out, it's well worth it because goddamn, they put you through some changes.
You know, I gotta say though, I gotta give Universal points for their marketing campaign. Did you by any chance see the R-rated cut of the trailer with commentary?
No, with commentary? No, I did not.
Yeah, where they had Will Forte do a commentary track to the Red Band trailer. It was just him screaming "fuck" for 2 minutes. It was really surreal. At one point, it's like, okay, this isn't really funny anymore, but then it starts becoming funny again because it's not funny anymore, and it's literally him fuck this and fuck that. Oh, look, I said fuck. It's literally that for 2 minutes. It's like, wow, that's, you know what? It's ballsy.
You're right. I mean, I have to give them credit for like going ahead and taking a chance with us because this is something completely new that we're trying. And while it's just like working with any client, yeah, you're going to have bumps and bruises and ups and downs, and you're going to complain here and there. But it was a really kind of cool experience to see people actually say, hey, you know what, we're willing to take a chance with a different kind of promotion. And nobody is really doing promotions like we are if we continue to do it this way. So it's yeah, you're right, Carlisle. They did a lot of creative promotion with it. I wish the movie could have done better because look, I
still haven't seen it.
It's not terrible, man.
Well, you know what? But see, when it comes to comedies like this, I side more with the co-host than I do with you guys. And when the co-host seemed to like it, I was like, all right, you know what? I want to check this one out.
I liked it, but yeah, I said exactly what I thought it was. It's a great Blu-ray or DVD. It's not really that great of a film. It's funny and I laughed.
There are movies like that. Like oddly enough, I got the Blu-ray of the Slammin' Salmon, and which was the new film by the Broken Lizard. And I like Broken Lizard a lot. And I saw this at a film festival last year in a theater, and I was like, I don't know. I gave it I wrote the review up on a site that gives an A through F score, and I gave it a C. I laughed several times, but I didn't actually really like the movie, and so I got it in on Blu-ray. I had a bunch of friends over, and they're like, oh, we really want to watch it. I'm like, all right, you know what, I'll throw it in. And I found it much funnier at home with my friends than I found it in a theater.
That's exactly it. It's more of an intimate thing when you watch it with friends. Even watch it with yourself so that you can just kind of be more casual with it and not, because when you go see it at a movie, no telling, you might have an experience where somebody's it's pissing you off, kicking your seat, or you're just surrounded by people who just laugh too hard at some things.
Well, this wasn't even that. This was at an Alamo Drafthouse festival screening, so it was an optimal screening environment. It just, for some reason, it translated better at home. It was that kind of thing where when you're sitting on your couch having a beer with buddies, it plays much better. And jokes that I didn't laugh at the first time, I ended up laughing at the second time along with my friends. So I have a feeling this might be that, and I look forward to that. But that said, this top 25 has been brought to you by MacGruber.
Ching-ching!
Ching-ching! All right, so let's jump to number 8. So
MacGruber's wiping my ass right now with golden toilet tissue.
Let's run number 11 really quick. I just wanted to bring this up.
Rajniti?
Yeah, Rajniti. This is what's starting to happen now is we're starting to get after the success of Slumdog Millionaire, several studios decided they wanted to help put out Indian-made films, and this is part of that. And this one did fairly well. It came in at number 11 with almost $1 million, which for a foreign film, without a lot of promotion, is pretty good.
I was going to say this movie probably had. I didn't see any marketing for it. I'm sure for a limited, like it's a foreign film that's playing on the indie circuit. There's not much marketing that goes into that.
And it's playing on 124 screens and has the best per screen average of the top 12.
Yeah,
it had $73.95, so almost $7,400 per screen. The closest thing to that was our number 2 film, which had $6,460. So for a foreign film without a huge market or marketing, it did fairly well. So keep your eye on this kind of stuff because we're going to start seeing potentially more and more Indian films, and Indian-made films can be really great despite what limitations there are due to the conservative nature of their of Bollywood. So you can't kiss on screen.
Yeah, you can't kiss, and don't they always do? I mean, is it customary to do a dance number
Not always. No. In fact, there's a bunch of Scorsese and Coppola inspired crime films that are breaking out of India right now, and they don't have any of that. They're just brutal, bloody crime films. So
yeah, they showed some trailers for it at the Alamo Draft House for a couple of films. Then they look insane. So anyway, what do you want to go to now?
Number 8 is the one that all of your critic friends can't stop talking about, Splice.
Did you see it?
I did. I saw it a month ago.
We gave our review. What did you think about it?
I really, really, really like the film until the last 5 minutes. I hate the last 5 minutes. And it totally ruins the film for me. It's going off on this really cool path of being this radically different, weird, creepy, kooky, speculative science fiction film. And then there comes a point where they're like, hey, we really got to come up with a good ending for this. Let's just turn it into a regular monster movie. And it totally robs the film of all the power that it has.
Okay, yeah, it's a weird film, man. That's going to turn a lot of people off for a lot of different reasons, and I think I liked it better than you. I think that ending was just it got to a point where it was so crazy that I was like, this movie, it can take as many twists and turns as it wants to now because it's been an insane ride, and I thought a lot less people were gonna like this than I did. I thought it was gonna be that crazy critic that came out and said, you know what, I like this movie, I'm sorry, but a lot of people are saying it's okay. And it's going to have that one scene that's going to be the actual test on how people approach it. It's not even the ending that you're talking about. Of course, we're talking about a little sex scene in there, but we won't go any further than that. So yeah. So you enjoyed it up until the last part.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely for those of you alpha film goers, it's definitely something you should check out, and you may want to see big to help support indie style science fiction filmmaking. But the truth is, it's one of those films that it hits a point where you're either with it and absolutely love it, like several of the people who are calling it genius, or that last 5 minutes is going to ruin it for you. But I think either way, it's worth seeing because the performances are great.
That's what made the movie for me, actually.
Sarah Polley and
Adrian
Brody are incredible together in this movie. And the movie is all them. It's mostly them talking, but arguing the ethics and the science of the crazy shit they're doing. And that stuff is all great. And it's something that the reason why critics are going nuts for it is because it's different than everything else you're seeing out there. But people are treating it like it's this year's Moon, and it's not this year's Moon.
And see, I would even say that I don't even know how much I'd say it is different, other than it just harkens back to, and a lot of people are saying this, something that the guy really manages to at times be on the border of ripping off David Cronenberg, which is for the most part is a good thing for this movie. I mean, if you're gonna mimic a director that you really have admiration for, then do it well. And this director
and
did
make
it well.
Someone interesting like Cronenberg. So.
Yeah, exactly. So and the guy who directed this I forget his name, but he directed one of my favorite movies. What's his name?
Isn't it Vincenzo Natali or something
like that? Yeah, he directed Cube, man. I love that movie.
Cube I love, again, except for the ending. Like the last 30 seconds of Cube is the one part of Cube I don't like, and I love everything else about it.
Well, people ask me, what is one of your favorite horror movies? And I always have to say Cube. I say it is a movie that has no real villain or no real creature or monster or anything, but it has made me nervous like no film has in a long time. I mean, I was terrified. And
all the sequels suck.
And that's why I've never watched them because I don't want them.
Oh, they're terrible.
But Splice, by the way, made $7.5 million. It cost $30 million to make. So, again, this is probably one of those cases where the movie's going to do better on DVD or Blu-ray than it did at the theater, because premiering at number 7 with $7 million and your budget is $30 million, you can't really expect to make that home stretch. So
yeah, well, who knows? There's a big word of mouth campaign going on. I mean, my Twitter feed has been nothing but Splice all weekend, and I haven't wanted to poo-poo on it because it's really something that I needed to talk about in a certain amount of length rather than just put out, yeah, I liked it until the ending, because once people hear that, they're like, well, maybe I'll skip it. But it is a really it's a remarkable film that you're either going to stay with it or you're not. But let's go on to number 6, where I get to say, America, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie the rest of the guys actually went and saw it and did a review. And I think Coho summed it up well, as in, kids, you're a bunch of dummies, but you're not that dumb. And this is the case right here, where you proved that very well. Marmaduke brought in $11.3 million, and it cost $50 million to make. Now, who knows what's going to happen when this comes to Blu-ray DVD and people just want to buy this for their little kids to just shut up and watch. And it might do better there. However, I think 20th Century Fox knew that they had some bullshit on their hands. This movie came very low under the radar, and because of lack of marketing and because probably how bad the movie is, it didn't do that well.
Yep. And I'm happy to see it gone. Bye, Marmaduke.
That's a fucking comic strip, a one-panel comic strip where the dog doesn't even talk. And then they got Owen Wilson with a CG and a dog with a CG mouth just flapping his jaws all through this thing, saying stupid shit too. I mean, really, it's one of those films. I saw a clip of this, and let me just say, they actually.
I have to cut in here and say, for somebody who didn't see it, and for somebody who really had no opinion on it, you sure seem to have a.
I didn't say I didn't have an opinion on it. I said I didn't see it, but I have very much an opinion on it because I saw one clip that summed that movie up completely. They took every fucking dog cliche and every cliche of how we're gonna pander to try to be hip to kids in one fucking scene. In one scene, they have a dog pissing on a carpet. In one scene, this is all the same scene, by the way. The same scene, they have a dog tearing the carpet up with feathers flying everywhere. In the same fucking scene, they got a chihuahua dragging his ass across the rug, talking about how good it feels. And then to top it all off, they got a dog on the turntable spinning. And just to add a little accent to that.
This sounds like the Spill.com party.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be Spill.com and shit. And if that wasn't bad enough,
I can't wait to drag my ass across the carpet, because you know what, that chihuahua was fucking right. If you do it just right and get the right velocity, that feels magical.
People, let me tell you something. It ain't a party until Carlisle drags his ass across the carpet.
Oh,
and check this out, man. If it wasn't enough, they had a dog on the turntable spinning with his little paws doing irish. They had him wearing shades. God damn.
Hey, you know what? I actually have a dog in my neighborhood that wears shades.
No, you don't.
I do. The homeless guy who hangs out down on the corner here near my house, he sits with his dog in a sign, and he has shades on his dog all the time. And so we drive by and see this pit bull wearing shades.
Oh, well, hey, you know what? You didn't mention that I was a homeless guy. A homeless guy, you can give him credit. A homeless guy is desperate. He's trying to pull out any trick he has. For a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar studio, there is no fucking excuse for you. God damn it.
No, I mean, in fact, just this week I was driving by, and he had the dog with shades there, and he had the sign up saying, "See MacGruber, now in theaters."
And if you look in the alley, you can see him like shoving money in our pockets. So,
all right, so let's get on and let's just blow through number 5. We all know what number 5 is at this point. Come on.
Yeah, shitty part 2. Sex and the City actually brought in $12.7 million this weekend, bringing its total up to $73.4 million. This movie cost $100 million to make, so on to DVD it goes to try to recoup. And underperformed for what Warner Brothers thought this movie was going to do, and I can't say I'm happier because it's really one of the worst movies I've seen this year. I can say that safely.
Yeah, it's not one of the worst movies I've seen this year, but it's still pretty bad and offensive. So, yeah,
what have you seen that's worse than this?
Oh, God, you're going to make me think about this stuff.
And I'm just curious. No, I want to know because I really want to know what's worse than this movie.
Oh, God, even worse than this was that J-Lo movie we saw about a month ago.
Okay, I didn't see that. I did see that movie about what's the girl, the cute redhead that went to Ireland to propose.
Leap Year.
Okay, yeah, Leap Year is one of the worst too. So.
Yep, that's up there. There's a bunch of just bad movies that have come out this year, and I haven't really sat down and started cataloging them because I always do that at the end of the year. But no, this wasn't the worst thing that I've seen this year. So definitely not. Let's go to number 4.
Oh, hold on real quick. Hold on.
I'm holding.
Since I'm in New York, I got to let people know where I am. And my friend Joel is calling. And Joel, can I call you back in 30 minutes? Your number at work? Yes, I do. I have your work number. So yes. I will call you back in about 30 minutes.
But
See, people, when I come here, I have to call. I mean, I have to answer the call so I don't lose a place to stay. So this is my friend Joel.
This break in the podcast is brought to you by Jonah Hex.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
All right, so number 4 is Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
Wait, what can we really say about that? They were hoping to have another Pirates of the Caribbean type franchise with this, but having brought in $14 million this weekend, bringing its total up to pretty much $60 million. This movie cost $200 million to make. I doubt that this will be anywhere near another Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. And look, we talked about that a lot last week. You know, Jake Gyllenhaal, based on the video game, people with British accents, blah, 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 blah. There you go.
All right. Now, finally, the interesting stuff. Number 3.
Getting some new releases as opposed to the ones that we talked about before who did not make it to the top 5, but the ones that did make it to the top 5. Number 3 is Killers with Ashton Kutcher and Katherine Hagel. Is that her name? Katherine Hagel?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard the review that the Funny Book Boys did, and it sounded like Leon kept saying Captain Hagel. But this movie brought in $16.1 million. Damn, this shit cost $75 million to make?
I hope so.
Oh, well.
I sure hope so. Yeah, this was not a good movie. It's not a terrible movie, but oddly enough, I went to the midnight screening of this, and I'm sitting in there, and the only people in the theater are a bunch of teenagers who I wanted to ask if they had Ashton Kutcher on their Twitter. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this is going to be unbearable. And then right before the movie starts, them Funny Book Boys walk in and I'm like, oh, thank God. So I was able to sit and crack it up with them watching this, because this had some pretty bad moments in it. And it's not a terrible film, but it's an all right film. It's not anything you ever have to watch. But if it's on cable sometime, it might be worth checking out. But here's the weird thing. This is the second movie this year that Ashton Kutcher has starred in, that the very best thing you can say about the movie is that Ashton Kutcher was good in it, that he's the best part of the movie.
I don't hate Ashton Kutcher as much as everybody either. I think Ashton Kutcher has a great personality, and I think he's trying to branch out and doing some different things. And they were talking
but he's
about
never good in movies. Name one movie he's really good in.
We're talking about really good, not just passable, but really good.
Yeah, when we like him when he did stuff like Punk'd, or when he did like Saturday Night Live, or when he's, being himself in person, where he's douchey but he's self-deprecating and he's funny, and it's like, all right, I can dig the guy.
Nobody saw. Okay, here's the deal. Nobody saw the movie that I saw, which he was really good in, which was called. Oh, what was that movie called, man? So one word, and I keep wanting to say snatch, but it's not that. It's something like dig, snatch. It hinges on being sexual, but it's where he plays a pretty boy gigolo who just lives off women in L.A. He lives off his image, and he lives pretty much off of older women. It was him.
Oh, you know what? They
I'm
just released that on DVD this year.
Yeah, they did, and I wish I could remember the name of the movie. Help me out, man, please.
I'm working on it. They sent it to me, and I never bothered to watch it.
You should watch it, man. I saw it, and he was good in that, and the movie's pretty good. And it's one of those movies where I said, okay, Ashton Kutcher's coming up. Spread, that was it. And I thought he was pretty decent in that film, man. I thought he was pretty. I'm not gonna say he was great, like he deserved an Academy Award or he was wonderful, but he was pretty good in that film. And the reason why is because he starts out being this shallow person, like everybody assumes Ashton Kutcher to be, and then he has to actually become this guy who the roles are reversed on him. Life takes a bad turn, and that sudden desperation that he's put into. He delivered very well. So I'd recommend people watch this movie. I really liked it a lot.
The thing is lately he's done a couple things where I actually, I dig what he's been doing. Like he was good in The Guardian, and The Guardian was really good up until the barbecue. And if you turn the movie off when they're standing around having a barbecue, you've just watched a really good training film. But unfortunately, there's another half an hour to that film that's a fourth act, which kills everything and turns it into one of my favorite Kevin Costner jokes of all time. And then you have he did last year or 2 years ago What Happens in Vegas, which was actually really cute, and I enjoyed that one.
Well, I liked him in The Butterfly Effect. Again, not great.
Well, I hate The Butterfly Effect.
The movies. Wait, you know something? Okay, that's one of those movies that I actually like, Don't think it was great, but I actually enjoyed it. Nothing I would recommend anybody watch, but I liked the movie, and I liked him in it.
But Kutcher is really good here in Killers. The thing is his character is actually interesting. He's a guy who was recruited from college to become a spook. He works for the CIA. He's a professional assassin. He's not some James Bond. He just goes out. He does black ops stuff, but he's really gotten sick of it. And he meets this girl in France who is so white bread normal that she represents everything that he wants out of life. He just wants to live a normal, boring life where he doesn't have to wake up worrying about killing anybody or getting killed, where the most dangerous thing he's going to do is drive to his boring job where he can enjoy working a boring job and come home and have sex with his beautiful wife. That's all he wants from life. And that's an interesting character. Unfortunately, every other character in this movie is overdone and not funny. And really painful to watch. And so there's whole sequences of this where you like it because it's Kutcher doing a cool job, and then there are whole sections that are terrible. And that's what happened with Valentine's Day earlier this year as well, where if it was a movie just about Ashton Kutcher's florist, it would have been a watchable film. But everything else is just unnecessary and terrible.
Well, here's the deal, man. The reason why I'm taking such interest in your opinion on Ashton Kutcher in this movie is because the rest of the guys talked about how bad he is, not his character, but how bad he is as an actor. I didn't see the movie.
No, he's not bad in this at all. In fact, he's the one saving grace to the film. Katherine Hagel is the one who's really ungodly, unbearable in this, because Kutcher does what he's supposed to do. He plays this guy who's very well trained, but isn't necessarily the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do stupid things either. He's just a guy, and he does it well. I think he does exactly. I mean, the thing is I think the guys really hate Kutcher for being Kutcher. And in these films, he's not, leaving any sort of safe ground here and venturing out into Actorsville.
Yeah.
He's still doing what he always does, but he does that solidly. And so, it works.
Well, you want to get to number 2?
Number 2
is Get Him to the Greek, which brought in $17.4 million, $40 million it took to make. Again, it's another movie that seems to have underscored, but again, I came out and said that this is another case of a film that I thought I would like so much better watching it at home than watching it at the movies, because there's just a lot of things in here that doesn't make sense. And they're requiring me to actually suspend too much disbelief to come and watch this movie, to ask me to leave my house and watch it at a theater. But I don't know. A lot of people seem to like it. A lot of people.
I loved it.
I know. Yeah, I know. I remember you loved it. This movie caused quite a stir on the site. A lot of people just thought this is one of those, another topic of discussion where people were saying, "Oh man, I used to love you guys. I agree with everything you said, and then you get to this movie and you're fucking wrong." And it's just like, look,
wrong because you liked it, or wrong because you didn't like it enough?
Wrong because we did not like it, and whoever was doing the criticism, they are criticizing us. They loved it or they liked it, and it just brought another one of those rounds of reminders saying, look, nobody told you that you have to listen to us. Our opinions are that we're trying to tell you what to do or what to watch. We got our opinions. You have yours. I can't speak for everybody else, but I don't expect everybody to agree with me. And if you like something, I respect that likeness that you have for a movie, even if I don't like it. So I don't know what to tell people.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, but you guys don't tend to have that with comedies, especially summer comedies. You guys tend to have those critics during the summer that always, yell at you for not liking a film that they found very funny. So I think that's just something typical of our criticism, that when it comes to summer comedies, the guys may not always be in line with the rest of you guys.
It's hard to explain, because I mean, something like The Hangover, I love The Hangover, and The Hangover is just about as raunchy, if not raunchier, than this film.
To this day, I still get emails and messages from people who really, really liked Get Smart, which you guys gave me so much hell for. People like, man, by the way, I really loved Get Smart. That was really funny. So I don't know. It was, but see, the Hangover was a different film than Get Him to the Greek, and everybody keeps comparing it because it's raunchy comedy.
Well, the only thing is they keep saying on the on the publicity, like, and everybody's doing this with everything now because the Hangover, everything that is raunchy has to be, or as a rated R thing has to be compared to somehow to the Hangover. So
Well, but that's always been the way. Comedy. The thing is I was very careful not to use the term hangover when I wrote my review of this or reviewed it on the show a few weeks back, because the thing is the Hangover works not because it's raunchy, but because it's a really good story. Because it's built as a mystery, and the whole film, no matter what happens, you're like, what happened to our dude? Where is he? And they're constantly trying to retrace their steps, and that's what works. This is very different. This is essentially a road comedy where an uptight guy and a party guy are thrown together. This is that mold. It's a different kind of comedy. It doesn't necessarily play to the same audience just because there's dick jokes involved. So,
I agree.
I really like this film, and I found it very funny.
Yeah, and everybody heard what we had to say about it, so we'll leave it at that.
So let's just say that the number one movie is Shrek Forever After, and we've talked about it about 1 billion times. It's still doing really well compared to everything else.
Man, I told you weeks ago it was going to be like lingering around doing that.
It's still doing much worse than any of the other movies.
But here's the deal, though. They have, maybe it didn't make as much money as the rest of the films as the previous films. And again, people don't think I'm arguing on behalf of Shrek because I really want them to stop doing Shrek movies.
This podcast brought to you by Shrek.
No, it's not, because I'm talking shit about Shrek right now.
Did you by any chance see that great picture floating around the internet of the billboard for the new McDonald's treat that they had to tie in with Shrek?
No, what happened? Something sexual?
It's called Mint Ogre Load.
It's not like squirting in his face or anything, is it?
No, but the picture does. When you look at it, you could imagine that the arm that's not in the photo could be busy doing something else. And the fact that it's called Mint Ogre Load, which is just the grossest thing I think I've ever heard of.
Ogre Load, yeah. I love it when these things get by people, man.
We're so clever. It's like, that's disgusting. I don't want to put anything in my mouth that's called Ogre Load.
And it's all green and shit, too. So.
Yeah, it's Mint Ogre Load. It's not cute.
But you know what? They went as far as to put mint in it to make it a little more tasty, so I don't blame them for that. But this movie, it brought in $25.3 million this weekend. Now, here's the thing. The movie is still at number one. I don't know what's coming out next week, but it's just like I said last week. I knew this was going to be number one again because there was no real big challengers to it. It has $183 million is gross so far.
Oh, it's toast next week.
The budget of this was 165. So what's coming? I don't even know what's coming out next week. What's coming out next week?
Karate Kid.
Oh, Karate Kid. No, those are going to dominate. So
yeah.
But this got away with a little bit of a profit. Not enough to really make its money back, but it will perform well on DVD.
It'll make its money back. It's just not going to be the license to print money that they thought it was going to be.
No,
and it is the nail in the coffin of the Shrek series.
It's a good way to get out. I didn't think the movie was terrible. I thought it was better than the last Shrek movie. It's the least of all the Shrek films. I actually enjoyed it a little bit. I want them to stop really making Shrek movies, and this seems like a good way to do it. You got a little bit of money. It's slowing down. It's showing age. So just stop. Stop. But I tell you what, that big ball green motherfucker's gonna get his money one way or another. And then I can see them doing straight to DVD or Blu-ray releases now. And I actually hear that the last Shrek Christmas special, which came out on Blu-ray, was actually pretty fun. So I don't know, whatever.
So let's get on to some quick business before some questions.
Yeah. Now all weekend, people have been saying, "Where's Carla? You got a group started about this?" And you said,
there's a group?
Yeah, your boy Henriksen, who actually I think he hates everybody but you on the site.
Awesome.
He's
my kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a prick. But anyway, that guy.
But he's my kind of.
Yeah, but he's your prick. You can have him. He started a group where it was like where's Carl? I miss him in the reviews, and I addressed it on Saturday, and I guess we should. And I think we addressed this one time in a show a long time ago, but maybe we should address this again. Now, I
don't think we have actually.
Okay.
I don't think we've actually publicly mentioned anything.
Well, I don't know how your version of this is going to go, anything, but let me tell you what. Look,
see, now when you put it that way, you make it sound ominous.
No, that's why I want to say it first, because I want to know if you agree with me or not, because I don't want it to sound ominous at all, but I'm just going to be very straightforward with people, and I said this already. It all comes down to this, and you tell me if you disagree, or you can put it the way you want to, but this is the way I see it. With the scheduling of the movies and how all the guys get together now. All the guys get together and they'll review a movie at the drop of a hat, and then when they come over, they'll bullshit and they'll sit around, and and it's okay. Everybody's okay with having fun and just talking before we actually get into a review, which might take somewhere from 20 minutes to an hour sometimes. Who knows? But everybody's okay with that. Except for you, and when I say except for you, I don't mean that in a bad way. You are the guy who lives across town. You have something to do. You have schedules. You have deadlines, and you have other freelance jobs. So when you come in, you say, I need to come in, do this. It's not worth the time and money to sit here and bullshit like the rest of you guys. So I have to be in and out sometimes. And with four people saying, okay, we're okay with bullshitting, and with somebody else saying you need to respect my time, we just said, hey, sometimes when we like bullshit for an hour and actually do one review, that's not worth your time to do that.
That's one of about a half dozen things. Now, I'm not leaving the site or anything. I've just kind of pulled back, and the main reason we decided to pull back, though, is like that was going on, but that was one of those things where recording a review pays a little less than some sites pay me to write articles or write reviews for them, but I can do that here on my own time. Whereas, when Cyrus and Leon get together, they do it for social reasons, and they're like, hey, I'm hanging out with my friends, I want to sit and talk about what happened in Green Lantern for an hour, and I'm sitting there going, you realize that this hour I could have written a review and made the money that I need to make and gone on with my night and spent some time with my wife. So there's that aspect to it, but what it really comes down to is the co-host really wanted to take a more active role in the site, and wanted to be in a lot more reviews and wanted to be able to do this as a majority part of his living. And we are a site of limited means. We do not have money coming out the wazoo, where we can't afford to have everybody get paid to do reviews all the time.
Well, actually, the thing, let me interject here. The thing is, we could technically have everybody do it and afford to have everybody there. It's just it does not work with 5 people. That was the next point, was that we've tried it with 5 and it was tough at 4. Like the best way to do it is to have 3 people, but you can have 4 if everybody's tight. And has everything together. And so we just kind of decided that, hey, why don't I do an extra podcast, and that will give me time to work at home, because what everything boils down to, and what we really haven't talked about, is I'm working on my own kind of secret side project that I'm not talking about yet, that I will talk about here in a few months, but that I'm working on something that is dominating all my free time. I have to set aside and plan time to spend with my wife, because literally between working for 4 different places and working on this project at the same time, I have no social time whatsoever. I've stopped hanging out with friends. I've stopped going out and doing things for fun. I don't even get to sit around and watch movies for fun anymore. I only watch them for, reviews and watching the stuff that gets sent to me for that. I don't get to do things and have a great time doing them all the time anymore. So that has kind of like my life.
Yeah. So when Corey said, hey, you know what? I don't know how to deal with this, but co-host really would like to get some more reviews, and the way finances are working with various things, we can't, not everybody else can back off, but you might be able to. Would you like to swap out and do a podcast? That sounds great right now. So we don't know if this is a long-term thing or just a short-term thing for the summer, but we're trying it out, and I'm not leaving the site. Nobody's having a hard time with one another. It's not anything bad. It's just it's a scheduling thing, and if I want to be able to finish this project that I've been working on, I need to have some more time, and this was the place that was eating up the most time.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm trying to make it I'm trying to make it permanent, but in a good way. Which is, and the reason why I say this is because this brings me back to what we talked about before. Because don't think we forgot about the stuff that we were talking about with the contest and things like that. And I've been going through my head on how to like do another video, and I've been trying to figure out how to do that. That's not going to take up a whole lot of time. It can be a quick turnaround, and we might have to like pull back on the contest idea for a little while and get into something else in order to make it a regular feature, which we could probably do. I really think that we should concentrate on doing like a video, a recap of somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. In fact, I was hoping I'd still be doing 1 or 2 reviews a month, and we can hopefully get something like that working, because I still do love reviewing with you guys. But yeah, right now it's just everything's so tight and weird. And the reason why me and Corey haven't done one yet is because he's so busy right now with some of the new things that we're working on the site. Well, so
after Spill.con, that's when I'm going to really try to concentrate on doing that, and hopefully we'll have a better rhythm at doing these ad takeovers. If they continue to happen, we might be slowed down on that a little bit, so that'll give us more time too. But yeah, no, this stuff is still on the way. We just have to figure out a way to do it, because we can only do so much, and now we're trying to get into video games too, and not really by any choice of my own. So it's a lot of shit happening. I don't know.
Well, and moving on into another thing, I forgot to mention this to you earlier, but I want to thank an unlimited number of you Spilios out there who for years have been harassing me about this thing. And for years I've kind of brushed it off the same way I did with Firefly. And everybody told me for years, you got to watch Firefly. It's so good. Oh, my God, you got to watch Firefly. It's like, look, I hate Buffy. No, you got to watch it. And I sat down and watched it and loved it. Well, just this weekend, my wife and I were sitting around trying to figure out what we were going to watch together in the time that we had before I went back to work. And I noticed on Netflix that they had Avatar: The Last Airbender, that they've got the first 3 series for streaming. And I was like, you know what? All the kids on Spill have been telling me for years how great this is. Why don't we watch an episode or 2 and see if we like it? We've watched the first half of the season. Later tonight, we're going to watch some more. We're watching them like 4 or 5 episodes at a time. We're both in love with it, and I'm really digging on this show. So thank you guys for hounding me and pounding at me and turning me on to this, because I'm really digging it. And my goal is to finish up the series before the movie comes out, so that I can review the movie having seen the entire show.
It's a good-looking series too, man.
It is, and that's what I really dig. Is it's kind of like it's got the typical good-looking anime thing going on, but it's also got some kind of Miyazaki hints to it. Like I get a very My Neighbor Totoro vibe at times, especially with the various creatures that inhabit this world. And I'm really digging on the storyline. I'm really hoping it's going in a certain direction, and from what I'm hearing from people, it might be. So I'm really looking forward to digging into this, but I've enjoyed the first half of the season, and thank you guys. So that said, what do you say we get into a few questions?
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just okay?
Okay. Just a little quiet, little quiet, little conservative. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, here's one that we can't really get away from. ZH41 asks, what are your thoughts on the confirmation that the Joker will not return in Batman 3?
Good.
Yeah, God damn it, good. And I think that's pretty much all we have to say. They nailed it. They knocked it out of the park. There's no reason to bring in someone else and have to compare it. We've gotten the best Joker story ever told on film. Let's move on.
Yeah. So there you go. You got another one?
Yeah. Adam Maverick asks, what do you think about the Hurt Locker BitTorrent lawsuits?
Oh, wait a minute. What's that?
What do you think about the Hurt Locker BitTorrent lawsuits? Are you familiar with this?
No, fill me in.
I've written about this a couple of times. This is exactly the type of thing that I've been complaining about for years. And this is the first time that we've really seen it affect something that is as critically acclaimed as this. For years, I've talked about, how BitTorrenting absolutely destroyed Hostel 2, and a lot of people are like, good, that movie fucking sucked. Fuck that movie. Fuck Eli Roth. Well, BitTorrent destroyed the Hurt Locker. The Hurt Locker made $16 million in the box office, which means that it was seen by approximately 2 to 3 million people in the box office. But it was illegally downloaded 10 million times. So somewhere between 3 and 5 times the number of people watched it at home for free than paid to see it in a theater. And it's done decently on Blu-ray and DVD, but not incredibly well, especially considering that it was the Oscar winner for Best Picture and a number of different awards. So what happened was the producers have gotten together and have sued 5,000 BitTorrent users who provided the film online for download, and are trying to get several of the companies. All they have is they've got the IP addresses. They don't have the names. So they're suing them anonymously and taking them to court, hoping to get some, to get some to get some restitution out of it, and to try to discourage people from pirating these independent films that get crushed
shit out of people.
Exactly. That's exactly why they're doing it. What do I think? I think it's kind of a useless tactic. We've seen it before, but I also think that it's warranted because a film like The Hurt Locker was destroyed by it. If all 10 million of those people had paid to see it in a theater, we're looking at that movie would have been a $90 million movie, not a $16 million movie. And it's easy to look at a film like Transformers or Lord of the Rings or G.I. Joe or Shrek or Iron Man and say, hey, who am I really hurting? But it's when you look at the films like this that you really get to see in a microcosm what this illegal downloading is doing. The film started getting illegally downloaded months before it was even released. It came out illegally in February and wasn't released till June, and in that time 3 million people had watched it. As many people as would see it in a theater. A lot of people argue, hey, well, when I see a really good movie online, I tell my friends or I go and I pay to see it. Well, this is the proof that that's not really happening or working. I was one of the people who have been screamed at for a year for not loving this film. I liked it, but I felt it was flawed. But the vast majority of people loved the hell out of this film, and that word of mouth did not help the film. In fact, people hearing that it was available online, they just downloaded it illegally, and it crushed the film.
I mean, look, if that's the tactic they want to take, I'm like, I don't think it's going to work, but they definitely have a right to do that, and they have a case for doing that. And I love The Hurt Locker. I just want to know, though, I mean, where's the evidence that this movie was actually hurt by downloading? And I'm not arguing for downloading either.
Well, the evidence is that 10 million people illegally downloaded it, while only about 2 to 3 million people paid to see it in a theater.
But then there's another argument in there saying, are these people that would have seen it anyway, or were they just downloading it just because they heard about it on that was a free download and watched it? I know some people who download movies. I'm not going to say names, but they download movies just because they can. They download them, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 at a time, just because they know it's there, and they wouldn't have gone to pay for it to see it anyway.
But you cannot assume that all 10 million of those people are like that, or even that a vast majority of 10 million people of those 10 million people are like that.
I'm just bringing up this argument because I'm not arguing against you necessally either. I'm bringing this up because
that's the argument that pirates tend to make.
Well, it's pirates, and if it was and like I say, I think that if this was brought into court, that's the argument that would be made, that there's no concrete evidence that how much the movie would make. I mean, if they want to argue something against piracy, they probably would have to take another tactic other than saying that this movie would have grossed this amount of money, because they have no proof that movie would have grossed that amount of money. They can't measure that.
But it's kind of like, there's a certain measure to that's arguing that, how can you... I'm trying to find a good way to do this without getting everyone screaming, because this is one of those things that, of anything that I get mail about or questions on my form spring about or people asking me about when I attend conventions and the like, this is the question, and they're always asking about this, and they're always asking what about this? Well, what if I buy a ticket to a movie and then I oversleep, and is it okay to download it and all these weird questions, but really what it comes down to is, no, there is no way to actually prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you would have paid to see that, but you watched the film and didn't pay for the film, and that's still illegal and immoral. You have gone and taken in something that you were supposed to pay to see at that given point, something that is someone else's intellectual property, and you've taken it and digested it without having paid.
Well, see, this is another thing here. Is like a lot of people think that I argue for pirating and all that, and I don't. I have arguments for and against pirating because it's still a gray area and people are trying to argue it in very black and white ways, or to try to find a substantial way of saying like, hey, this movie could earn this amount of money, when you just don't know. I mean, for years, how much money was being lost from music when people were trading cassette tapes and copying and duplicating cassette tapes, or doing that with the VHS tapes. I mean, it's hard.
But that was stuff that the industry fought against as well and got shooed off. And this has taken that to the next level. A lot of people argue that, well, hey, everyone was okay with it when it was cassettes and videotapes. It's like, no, the industry sued and tried to prevent VHS players able to record other VHS players from coming out because they wanted to prevent that piracy. Nobody was fine with it. It was just that people accepted it, and now they're trying to justify that theft.
And see, that's exactly what I'm saying.
The next theft.
They finally gave up, and after a while, no money was really lost all that much that destroyed the industry. I mean, it's what eventually happened is that the industry had to change to actually figure out a way to make money despite what was going on. Because I think, and it's not that, look, in a perfect world, people would do the right thing. Yes, people would not litter, people would not cheat, people would not do a lot of things, but it happens and you can't stop it.
But you can stop it, and the ability to stop it involves stopping it on your level. No one person can sit there and go, no, I can stop piracy. But you can stop piracy simply by stopping pirating films, stopping providing films. There are ways to do it. And the thing is that what really kind of bothers me is that people just – it's been really hard to kind of explain how it's theft. Because a lot of people feel, well, no, it's a copy. I'm not actually taking anything, and that's one of the big arguments. And it's the best way I've figured out to describe it is it's like a theme park. You know, music and movies. That industry is like a theme park. It's like Disneyland. Yeah. And the pirates are the people that have figured out that you can cut a hole in the fence and sneak in and go on all the rides. You don't have to pay at the gate. And when you think about it on the level of it's just you and your friends sneaking in, who's really going to get hurt? And when you look at it on that level, no, what you're taking versus the massive amount of money they're taking at the gate, yeah, it's not hurting anything, except you guys are not the only ones doing it. By participating in cutting in a hole in the gate, the millions of people who are flooding in are making the lines longer at the gate. They're causing, people to unnecessary security to be done on the people who are justly paying for it. I mean, because of you guys stealing movies, the amount of time wasted by guys like me and Corey who are frisked constantly when going into press screenings, people who can't bring their phones in to various or electronic devices of any kind. I have to get lectures from security guys when I try to bring my laptop in so I can work for an hour.
Those are the worst too. They talk down to you like you're fucking kids, man.
Yeah, and do you realize that in order to use this webcam to record this film, I would be shining a huge fucking screen light?
I wanted the same guy talk to you that talked to me, because I used the same goddamn argument against somebody who's. I had to tell him, man, don't. You're talking to me like I'm a kid. I was like, I'm not dumb. I'm not a kid. I said, do you expect me to really open? Because he tried to talk down to me. He's like, no, if I see you open that thing in the middle of the thing, I was like, don't worry, you'll see me open it because it's a big screen, a big bright screen. Yeah. I said, I'd be dumb to do that. It's like, stop talking down to me, man. It's going to be safe. I'm not putting a $3,000 computer back in my car, okay? I'm sorry. I'll give it to management or something, but I'm not taking this out to my car, and I'm going into this movie. So you decide how we're going to do this.
But the thing is that the people sneaking into the theme park don't think about or worry about the people who are actually paying for it, that are being hassled and are having to jump through more hoops while paying to go into that theme park simply because they don't want to pay to have to ride on the rides. And they say, oh, well, if I really enjoy the park when I go in, then I might pay next time, or I'll tell my friends to come and pay. And that's not a justification.
Hey, no, believe me, I understand where you are coming from. You're telling people to do the right thing, and that should be and people should do the right thing, but human nature being what it is, circumstances being what they are, X factors factoring into other X factors, it's not going to happen. I mean, we tell people to stop smoking every year because it's bad for them, and they do it. You know what I mean? They don't do it. People go to their graves because they just said, I'm not going to stop smoking. You can't come out and do a publicity or PSA a public service announcement saying murder is bad, you're hurting people, you're hurting lives, please stop murdering. Murder is going to happen. You have to have a system set in place to prevent it, and that's the only reason why I'm arguing this. I'm saying like it's going to depend on. You can keep telling people not to do it and bring awareness, and that might put like a barrier up that'll make it harder for people to do something, or put a seed in people's head that'll make them think, and probably stop that a bigger percentage. But the other thing is that, it's going to be up to the responsibility of the industry to find some kind of way, whether it be technology or a better way of delivering the movies to people. It's going to rely on them to do it, because it's not going to stop. I mean, if they come out tomorrow with this great program that says it's going to like counter programming on every level, and pirating will it's going to counter pirating on every level, and pirating will cease to exist after this day. I don't think people who think that pirating is wrong is going to disagree with it, and some people might even be inconvenienced by it. But if they know it's wrong, they're going to like say, "Hey, it's been a long time coming. They finally got us. We can't do it anymore." But I don't see that day coming anytime soon. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh no, I know exactly what you're saying. But yeah, so there we are. There's once again our feelings on piracy. Please don't send us a billion fucking questions asking us, "What about this situation? What about that?" Or, "Oh, you're fucking wrong. You don't understand it." So. Yes, thank you very much. That has been our yearly lecture on piracy.
I got to tell you something, man, before we leave. The more I think about it, I really am actually looking forward to doing a recap video of some kind on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So,
yeah, dude, I love doing this stuff. It's just, it's been a perfect storm of situations that all kind of came together to say, hey, why don't I step back? But it's not like, fuck this, I'm leaving, or we can't have Carlisle around anymore, he's an asshole. It's literally just, hey, I'm going to step back for a little while, let co-host go and do his thing. Because come on, who doesn't love the co-host?
Me.
Serious.
He's pain in the ass.
You
I hate him.
love the co-host.
Hate that son of a bitch.
You've been fighting to get him involved in stuff for years now.
Use him as a bowling ball. And
you love
got on my nerves.
Busting his balls, but you love the co-host more. You sit down and do 4-hour epic podcasts with the co-host because you can't get enough.
Because he won't shut up. That's
why. Yeah, you and him both. All right, you have a question for us this week.
You know what? No, I do not. I guess that's why
let's do one more.
Oh, well, by all means, go ahead.
I have 30 questions here. So,
go ahead, please.
Again, as we're going to be doing this in the afternoons now, so if you're on Twitter, the twitter.com/Massawyrm, MASSAWYRM. Wait for my announcement that it's a Coco time, and you can ask a question like this.
And let me just say real quick, I will be able to do this on a steady daily schedule. I didn't mean to keep you waiting today.
Oh, no, it's okay. That's why I didn't bust your balls in front of everybody. I understand.
Oh, no, you can bust my balls. I love that.
Well,
I got them hanging out right here all for you.
Yeah, nice little tickle.
I combed them and everything, the pubic hairs, everything. Go ahead.
Richard Kershaw X asks, have you or Corey seen Human Centipede? If so, is it as fucked up as it sounds?
I am sitting here with a copy of it in my bag right now because they had it in the office, and I just haven't found a computer to play it on. But, hey, look, you saw it. I'll let you talk about it. I've heard it's fucked up enough to, know that, yeah, it's fucked up. But I tell you what, you tell me what you think, Carlisle. I have heard from people who have been braced to see it come back and say, yeah, it's fucked up, but it's not as fucked up as I thought it would be.
No, the thing is it all hinges around the idea, and it's one of those weird films. It's better if you don't know the idea going in, and when they describe the idea at minute 30, it really does fuck with you. But the film is not overly disgusting. It's mostly in concept, and the film is the perfect example of torture porn. The whole reason it exists is to give you a fucked up idea and force you to writhe in your seat as you kind of enjoy the experience of watching other people suffer and die.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. It is everything they've ever accused Eli Roth of doing. This is 10 times that. This is if you enjoy torture porn, you may enjoy this film. I watched it, and I thought technically it was well put together, and I thought conceptually it was really interesting. But overall, it's not a great film. There's no reason you have to see it unless you love watching fucked up shit and want to be one of those people who said, hey, I've seen it. If you're one of those guys like I am, the Human Centipede is for you, and you watch and go, oh, hey, that was an interesting exercise.
Well, the movie, if you don't know, it's about a scientist who takes
we don't need to.
Well, people need to know this premise because I tell you why. why. It's like because people have heard of it. I mean, it's like
You don't have to spoil the film.
I
for
don't.
them.
And everybody, no, I'm not spoiling. It's just a doctor that's because this is what it's the hook that gets people. I'm not spoiling it because everybody's heard. They showed in the trailer. They take a guy and two girls and this mad scientist, this German scientist, sews them ass to mouth to each other to make a human centipede. Now, ass to ass. You know, they should have had that guy in the movie. They should have showed that he should have played the mad scientist and sewed two people like ass to ass together, ass to ass. But the mad scientist in this movie,
Jennifer Connelly, I'm all for it.
I love that girl. But my roommate Taco Bell Lugosi went to see this by himself. Got dressed up to go see it. Actually, well, I saw him like he combed his hair and everything, like he was going out on a date. He shaved and I was smelling nice, smelling like Axe body spray. I'm like, man, where you going? He's like, oh, I'm gonna go check out Human Centipede. And I'm like, who are you going with? I'm going by myself. And I was like, really? And he came back. I said, so here's the deal. Why did the scientist do this? What was the purpose? He's like, he just did it just because he could. He's just like, okay.
Well, he's a true mad scientist. He's absolutely positively obsessed with it. He's a doctor who separated Siamese twins his whole life. That was his specialty. And at one point he said, if I'm really good at separating them, I wonder if I can put them together. And so that created this, which the guy who directed this, he is now working on a sequel, which will be about 12 people.
I'm
not kidding.
He added that. I heard last count. Seriously, last count I heard was going to be like about 5 people, and he said it was going to be a lot bloodier than. Oh
no, he said 12.
Oh damn! So it's human millipede. This
centipede still. I mean,
I know a millipede has like 1,000 legs, but which would be a fucking great movie. So 1,000 people together, it'd be like Hands Across America, except it'd be like ass to mouth America, ass to mouth America across America. So, but anyway, man, do you have anything else?
No, we once again ran long.
Oh, wow, did we?
So enjoy your supersized, unless, of course, he cuts 20 minutes out again, and then I get people going, supersized, my ass, it's an extra 7 minutes.
No, I'm going to...
Sorry, I need to talk like this for a few more minutes before going and fucking myself.
No, I'm adding bonus material to this one. I'm making it longer. So, no, I'm not cutting anything out of this at all. Nothing. This is going to be unadulterated, pure cocoa. So don't worry about that.
All right, so what do you say we cut this off and do some Blue Tuesday?
Oh, I got to talk to you about that. Something came up, but I'll talk to you about that. And
good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everybody.